She's back here.
So right now we are with Demetra Brodsky. She is the author of September book pick Last Girls. We're so excited to have her here. And her daughter Ava. Say hi, Ava.
Hi.
Yeah, she's outside the camera, but we're so excited to have her here. We're so excited to talk about this book. I have a lot of questions. I have a whole list of questions. A lot of questions. I'm a very curious person about this book.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming up. I mean, she drove here like...
I know. It really wasn't a big deal. I was excited to come.
I mean, we've been all in the house, so I mean, any chance to get out is like...
I know. People. And we all had a negative COVID test for anybody who's worried, and we're socially distanced, so we're good.
We're good. So I think we're just gonna dive right into my questions, and then we're gonna talk about some of my friends' questions that they sent in. So wait, but first off, this cover is amazing. Who designed it?
The cover art was done by Dana Lettel in Czechoslovakia, and Leslie Worrell did the cover design at Tortine.
Oh, I love it. I love illustrated covers. Like those are like my favorite. Like when
I'll tell you a secret. The girl in the middle is Diana Silvers. Do you know who that is? The actress Diana Silvers.
Oh my God, name sounds familiar.
She was in Booksmart. She was the meanish one in Booksmart that's like smoking cigarettes in the bathroom.
Oh my God, it does look like her. Yeah, wait.
So I was like, somebody that looks like this. This is how I see Honey. And so I sent that.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
And now I can't unsee it.
Oh my God. I can't unsee it either. Hold on.
Insider secrets. You're getting it all.
Oh my God. I'm just gonna dive right in. So, who was your vision for each character? For Honey, Birdie, and Blue?
Okay. India Isley for Blue.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's Paul Rudd's daughter? Emily Rudd for Birdie.
I need to see pictures. I'm so bad at
I feel like she could be a brooding, like she's very sweet looking, but I feel like she has this edge to her that might work.
So how did you come up with Last Girls? Like what was your, like you saw something or you heard about something and you're like, I need to write a book about that?
Yeah, I was just sitting in my living room. We were watching Doomsday Preppers. So I was like, what is this? Let me check this out. And I was like, oh, these people they're a little strange. Yeah, they're crazy. And so what would it be like to be a teenager in that world? You know, and how would you get there? And what, you know, would you want to be there? Would you not want to be there? You know, I have 2 sisters, so I was like, I've always wanted to write a book about sisters, so I was like, let me write a book about 3 sisters, and it just kind of, this was one of those like cocktail napkin ideas. I had sent a different idea to my editor. She wasn't into that book, and so I ended up sending her like 12 new ideas, and this was the last one, and I literally just scribbled it out. I was like, it was called the Juniper Sisters originally, and I was like, the Juniper Sisters live on this prep room, and I just did a log line, and that was the one that they wanted. And so I had to start completely from scratch using like Pinterest boards and finding characters, and then I would start with characters. So yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's how it came to be.
So just describe your writing process, because there's a lot of like connecting dots in this book. Like, did you start out with an outline or did you just go straight into writing?
I always start with an outline. I can't. There are a lot of people who they call it pantsing. They just pants it. They just sit down and start typing. I've never been able to do that. I need to know how something ends before I can begin, because otherwise it's like driving a car without a map, right? I have to know, even if that ending changes, I still want to know kind of where I'm going. And so then I start with character, because I feel like personality and character arc is really important too. So I write character-driven stories, obviously, and so so I wrote an outline because that was what the editor wanted. So they had done my first book, Dive Smack, and then for the second book, which is called an option book, they were like, let me see the outline, and then they read the outline, changed some things, and then I wrote the book for them.
Oh. Yeah. Oh my God, my friend Sophia's on. I did not even see her. Sophia! Okay, so Sophia, what is your question for Demetra?
Okay. Hi, by the way, I love your book. It's amazing. And I think that is so cool because I've never heard or found a book that is about doomsday preppers. It's such a unique plot, you know, and it was amazing. So one of my questions that I am very interested about is, how did you come up with the names Honey, Birdie, and Blue?
Oh, it's a great question. I knew that these girls were going to be living a life that was a lie, And so originally I had that the story opened kind of like with not really a prologue, but just like a short scene where they were walking down the road alone, very young, and someone stopped a car and said, honey, as an act, like as a kindness, like where are you going? You know, your sister's lips are blue, and
yep, I remember that in the book.
Right, like she's like a little bird, and I was like, so let me give them nicknames, and then we'll reveal what their real names are later. I gave myself goosebumps telling you that story, by the way.
I'm like, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh my, because that makes sense. Because that is like the thing that you find out about towards the end of the book.
Right, which is why she says most people don't like to be called honey.
Yep.
But I didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's all connected. It's all connected.
I thought that was so interesting because, you know, everybody just calls people honey, and I thought that was pretty cool that that's actually your name. So you're like, yeah, that's my name, honey. So yeah, go. It's fine. I'm quite curious. When did you start writing this book?
In early 2019. So not during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I was gonna say. So like, what was your reaction when the pandemic started and you wrote this book about literally preppers?
Well, I'm a thriller writer, so at first I got really excited. I was like, oh, this is great. What an opportunity. And then I was like, wait a minute, people are dying. I need to like roll it back. Like, this is not a good thing, you know, like kind of chill out. And so I really focused more on the story being about like sisters rather than the things that could go wrong, the things that people are prepping for, which pandemic was, in my mind, was always the one that was the most plausible thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Well, thank you to Sophia for coming on our live. I miss you, and thank you for asking to meet you a couple questions, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. What was your favorite Juniper sister to write for?
Blue.
Oh, why?
She was the weirdest one, I guess. Oh, she's also the baby. I'm the baby.
Oh,
So
I'm the baby too, so I
yeah,
understand.
it's a birth order thing, right? So I
Mhm.
always had a thing. But Birdie was the funnest one to write because she's so surly. She's so caustic and oppositional and always pushing, like me. So I kind of have that personality. But Blue was the one that was like the one I had to really think about every single thing that was coming out of her mouth, and to keep it like a quiet clue. Like you really had to be paying attention to the whole story to see that she was giving clues to what might come later on.
Yeah, when I was reading the book and I was like, she's really saying like some really weird stuff. Like this is before, spoiler alert, the Toby chapter. So I was like, why is she saying certain things about
she
like,
said some
really weird stuff.
some
I was
really
like, weird stuff, and I was like, this girl's just like weird.
She's the weirdest of the weirds.
And then like the Toby chapter started happening. I was like, I'm connecting the dots.
Yeah.
I'm connecting the dots. So that was actually like, I think that was one of my, I loved all the characters, but Blue is like probably my second favorite. Birdie's my first. I loved Birdie.
Really? Some people hate Birdie.
Really?
Yes.
I just-
when I see those reviews, I'm like, really?
I loved Birdie. I just
Yeah.
thought she was like, she cared so much about Daniel, and then like, that broke me. That broke me. I don't know.
Me
what
too.
else.
It was hard to write.
Oh, I mean, like how, like what was going through your mind when you're like, man, am I really gonna do this? Like with the scene at the very end with Daniel.
When I finished, I cried. I came into the kitchen, I was crying. My husband was like, really? And I was like,
No, the worst part was when she found the clothes in the store.
Oh my God.
I was with Bianca when I read that part. I was like, wait a second, what's going on? And then I was just so shocked. I was so shocked.
they're trying to hide it from her.
So Ava asked, if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be?
Don't squander your time. It goes by fast. Use your time. Figure out the things that you love to do and do them as freely and without abandon. Just go nuts because life's too short to have regrets. So,
Period. You heard it from herself. Like, follow that
do your
advice.
thing.
Do your thing. Follow that
Do your
advice.
thing.
So, this is just like character questions. Did you always picture Annalise being the main girl of the story, or did you think, okay, she's gonna have like a reawakening like Ansel did?
I liked writing her. In Dive Smack, I originally had a really mean character named Kendra Cromwell, and I cut her, and so Annalise is almost like a rebirth of Kendra Cromwell.
Oh.
Everyone hated Kendra Cromwell all except me. I love to write the mean girl.
Oh, is that like your favorite type of character to write? Like the mean
It's fun
person?
to write the mean girl to me.
I mean, you get all of your anger out in this character.
What's the one's name from Buffy? Claudelia. Claudelia, is that her name?
I've never seen that show.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm telling you, I'm not. We were talking about this. I've not seen Gilmore Girls. I've not seen Buffy.
Okay, you have to see Buffy.
Okay, that's first before Gilmore Girls?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'll watch.
That's
next.
on my list.
So was Daniel being found the way he was found always like a plot point you needed to get to, or was it like something you like came up with while writing a different scene?
So when I write the outline, I write the basic plot. I use a screenplay style, so I save the cat style, like here's the first turning point, you know, all those things. And so as I'm writing, even though I have an outline, like these are the main things that are going to happen to these girls, these are their character arcs, little by little, the character starts to sneak into your psyche. And so Daniel, I really felt like using him to like break her heart a little bit would you know get her moving and more in line, because she was kind of a rebel. She was always a rebel.
Yeah, she was. I think I loved her the most because she rebelled against everything, and like Honey was very much because she was the oldest. So like her entire narrative was like, okay, I'm gonna prep, I'm gonna protect my sisters, which is great to do. But like she was always very much strict. And then you had Birdie, who after the whole Daniel thing, like first when he went missing, she was like, no, I'm done with this place, it's crazy. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, this place is crazy. Like I would run away, but he didn't run away. Sadly, he did not run away. Ava has another question. Ava's just she's spitting out questions like that.
What does literary success look like to you?
Oh, that's a
very
smart question.
That's a very smart question. I think I try not to think about that too much. I think it did look like for me being on a stage at Comic-Con.
And she was.
And going to the Den of Geek party and being able to talk to all those people in the industry. And I think being here actually is really important to me. I really wanted to be here to talk to you guys today. And so success to me looks like being able to do this, I guess, for the rest of my life, if I can.
Well, please do it because I love your book.
Please do it.
So please keep writing. Thank you very much. So what came first to you? I think we talked over this a little bit, but what came first to you? The plot or the characters?
With this one, it was the setting. So, which was interesting to me because it's always character for me. So the setting, then the characters, and then the plot, and I did a ton of research to try to figure out what that plot was going to be. Like what could go wrong at this Doomsday Prepper.
So much. A lot seemed to go wrong.
So much. I definitely pack it in.
Oh, yeah. I was feeling so many emotions, especially towards Annalise. Feeling a lot of emotions. Not cool. So this is like a question that I thought of last night, and I was like, this would be very interesting to ask her. So would you rather live with Toby or the Juniper sisters?
Toby.
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought too. I was like, Toby's the best.
He lives in Little Italy in San Diego, which is like a really cool neighborhood in San Diego. So.
I love San Diego.
And his mom's an artist. I went to art school. I have a BFA from the Massachusetts College of Art and Design.
Ava was telling me that. I did not know that.
Yeah. So I definitely want to be with the artist.
Yeah, I don't like the Juniper sisters' mom. So
mom.
Yes, mom. Not gonna do that. Let's see. Which character do you relate to the most? This one is for all of us.
Oh, good.
Ooh.
Personality-wise, definitely Birdie.
Yeah. I would say Birdie too. Birdie. She's very. I think she's like a rebel with a cause. She is.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I love that.
Yes. Blue was crazy. Blue was crazy. But she was like the smartest character. Like throughout the book, she gave hints to the reader, but no one I have to admit, I didn't like pay attention until like the middle of the book, and I was like, maybe she's onto something. Like maybe she's actually like.
Sometimes people discount the youngest, the baby.
Yes.
Like, yeah, what do you know? You're a flake. You know, like. But
stop it. You're looking at Kiara, but no. But I agree. I think Birdie, 100%. She loves it. So how different was publishing Last Girls from Dive Smack?
Well, your debut is your first shot at like getting your book out there, getting your name out there. This one, I already had a little bit of an audience, and the book bloggers who love Dive Smack really came out for me to support this book. With Dive Smack, I kind of had to find those those fans and really put myself out there and talk to people about the book and make myself available on social media for readers and stuff. And so that one, but the excitement of that, like that dream to have your first published book is just, and then you realize, wow, this is work. This is a job. And I need to sit my butt in the chair every single day to write the next one and the next one and the next one. And so with each book, I think you just get more, you have to cut all of that out. You have to let all that outside noise go to make sure that you love writing that story as much as that first one. So that's how it changed for me.
I just feel like a lot of people think that writing is just do it, or
no.
But there's so much planning. There's so much that goes into writing anything, like a book, an essay, because I write essays for school. A lot of work goes into those.
Yes.
A lot of work. So, I mean, writing is not easy. But
It's not.
It takes a lot of practice, but it's so fun. We took a writing class for scripts over the summer at UCLA, and that was work. That was work.
Was it screenwriting or fiction writing? That's fun.
Screenwriting.
Well, then it teaches you a ton about story,
Oh yeah.
right?
You got to read a couple books.
Outline.
Did they have you read John Truby's book, The Anatomy of Story?
No, they had us read Save the Cats.
Save the Cat's one of my
Which we
favorites.
had, and then
it's fantastic.
Yes, and then
Yes.
they had, I think, the TV Runners show. The TV
Runners.
Oh my God,
Like
it's something guy.
It's like a showrunner's guide.
Yes, showrunner, not TV runner.
I know what you meant.
Yeah. It was so fun. I loved it. So I totally understand how, like, I mean, not like I'm not an author, but like I'm sure I mean I could dabble. I could dabble in this.
You got time.
So Libby asked a lot of questions, so thank you, Libby. First thing, why do you enjoy writing?
I think it's a really, well, I was a designer. I was a graphic designer and art director, and so I was always an artist, and so I was always making stories. One story was visual, right, to sell things, and this one is just the same thing with words, and so I've always had that mindset. But it's a way to escape from, especially right now. I know that there's a lot of things competing for our attention on the news every single day, but if you can just shut it all off and go into a made-up world, it's a really nice escape from everything. And you get to say the things that you may not have otherwise said to a large audience.
Okay, so Alexa asked, how often do you feel inspired to write, and are you always in the mood to write, or does it come and go?
I make the mood. So I'm not always in the mood, but I have to make the mood, and so I have to set a schedule for myself. I get up, I work out, I go to my computer, grab something to eat, sit down, close the door. I use an app called Freedom to turn off all social media, and I just set it to like 4 hours or whatever, and I write every day. I try to write every day. And if I'm not writing, then I'm plotting something else. So I don't know if it was Joyce Carol's, but someone was like, we must be perilous about this matter of mood. Like the mood doesn't just present itself, you have to create it.
Yeah, my mom's not looking at me like, you need to write your essay. You need to use that motivation.
Create the mood.
You need to create the mood. Thank you, Demetra. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's So Murphy asked, what is your first memory of writing?
Oh, it's actually oral tradition, I would call it. When I was really young, my parents are immigrants. They wouldn't let me have a dog, and all I wanted was a dog. Like I would read in the newspaper, you had the classified where you would see like dog, like golden retriever puppies, $250. Can I have one? Beagle, $250. So a friend's dog had puppy and elementary puppies, and I brought one home, and I lied to them, and I made up a story, and I told them that I won it in the spelling bee. I got first place, and they gave me this dog, and so that's how I got my first dog.
I mean,
And they believed me because they didn't know anything about the American school system.
oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
And now I can't do that with my mom. Thank
No.
you.
No.
Demetra's just really like
Yeah.
setting the scene. My mom's just like, no. So Chicken Girls 4424
I
asks,
love that.
it's the
Brat Show.
The Brat Show. Did you always dream of becoming an author? And what are you most proud of about Last Girls? These are such good questions. I'm like my questions, like
I did. I always wanted to be a writer. My favorite YA book of all time is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton.
I read that.
My dog's named Pony Boy.
Oh.
And, you know, I was growing up and I was just like, I want to write. I was reading books in, you know, in V.C. Andrews that I was way too young for, and in the backseat of the car on the way to Cape Cod for vacations. And I'm going to be a writer, I'm going to be a writer. And of course, my parents, you know, they worked their tails off to come to this country. They're immigrants, and they were like, you're going to get a job. You're going to go work in a bank. And I was like, it was like, that felt like death to me. And I did. I ended up becoming an artist anyways, a different kind of artist. And then when the recession hit in, I don't know, not late 90s, early 2000s, whatever, when so many people lost their jobs, I was an art director, I lost my job. And I was like, I'm gonna freelance design and I'm gonna try to write a book. And I did. I wrote a Greek mythology, and I didn't even know there was like a YA community, and there was like, you could get an agent. I knew nothing about it. I just did it for fun. I was like, I've always wanted to do this. Let me just see if I can bring it home. And that's how I started writing again. So I feel like it was like my soul's calling. Like I was always supposed to do this thing, and people said, don't do that, do something else. So. Right now I have a book about alien abduction set in the Adirondacks, and I just am sending that off to my agent. I have a couple more small revisions that she wants me to do, and that's my next one.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I need to read that. I need to read that. So you're gonna have to give me a
That's a crazy one that has like double unreliable narrators.
I love unreliable narrators. Would you consider it like a trope or no? I don't think it's a trope. I don't think it's a trope. It's just I think it's a device more than a trope. Oh, I love it. I love it. Love it.
It's like, you know, it's dual POV, male and female, and it's, you know, you have to decide were they or were they not actually abducted by aliens, or is there something going on? Is it like Folia Do? Are they, you know, madness shared by two, or is this, you know, without telling you too much because it hasn't gone on submission yet? Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that idea.
I have been fighting for this book for years. I love this book.
You like have such creative ideas. Like what? How did you? That is just so interesting. Alien abduction.
Yeah, because when I was a student at Mass Art, the man who ran the computer lab there, Jim Weiner, is one of the Allagash Four, which is one of the most credible alien abduction stories in history. And my husband was working at the computer lab, and that's how I met Jim. And so I got really fascinated, and I read their story and like what happened to them, and I was like, I want to write a book about this someday.
I mean, you're just really inspired by like a movie. You're inspired by real life. Like
yeah, you just pull from everywhere.
Pull from everywhere. That sounds so good. Like, oh my God.
That sounds so good.
That sounds so good. It's like my perfect type of book.
Oh. Good, I'm glad.
Have you ever experienced writer's block, and how did you get out? That was one of my questions. Yes. That was my questions.
I convinced myself there was no such thing.
Oh.
So it goes back to that you create the mood thing. So for me, because you guys read Save the Cat, you know that if the story's not going somewhere, you have to go backward. There's something wrong in that first section. So if you get stuck, that's, you know, oh, I can't write this, then you have to go backward. You have to find where something's wrong. But if you mean writer's block, like the muse didn't come, the muse doesn't come.
You create.
That's a fallacy.
You create it.
You have to get yourself excited about something about the story. So if it's like, oh, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna see like what are these doomsday preppers all about? Then you just get like really excited in the research and you start falling down these rabbit holes. And I think then the muse comes.
Oh.
You know?
Okay. So how much preparation went into Last Girls?
So much.
Like, did you read like a book? Well, I know there's like a whole storyline with like the hawk. Did you have to like read a book about a hawk? Did you have to read a book about doomsday preppers or watch a movie or?
I read about doomsday prepper I went on forums under like a fake name and just kind of like paid attention to what they were saying. And then with the falconry and the hawking, so it's called hawking, the sport of hawking. There's a book called H is for Hawk. And I read that, and then I actually went and I did falconry, and I went and I got to call a hawk back and forth to me, and became friends with those owners. They're really wonderful, and so I wanted to have that experience, but I also went backpacking in the Cleveland National Forest for 3 days with a 40-pound pack because I wanted to feel what that felt like.
So you're like a method writer. You're a method writer.
Sometimes,
method writer.
If I can do something, yeah. So and then you know. All the stuff that happened that's kind of historical, like how the U.S. Took Nazi scientists for the U.S. to create biological warfare. Like those kind of stories that I wove in very lightly. That just came from falling down those rabbit holes and being like, who is this leader of this group? I don't want to say cult, but like, who's this leader of this group? Why is he doing these things? What's his background? Because I think sometimes if you start, with this book I started with the setting, and oftentimes the advice I was given by Lois Duncan, who wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer.
My God.
Before she passed away, she had given me notes on one of my books, on my first book. And she said, if I was writing this book, Demetra, I would go back to your villain. Always start with your villain. Always start with your antagonist, because they drive the story for your character.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
The villain's important.
The villain is important.
Except for Annalise. We don't like
Annalise. We don't like Annalise. Oh no. So I have one last question. What advice would you give to aspiring authors out there?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Do what you love. Read. You will never not have words if you fill your tank with other people's writing. You'll always find a way to write.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm definitely gonna keep that in the back of my mind whenever I write next.
Above the books that you read every week.
Oh yeah, above, yeah. That's not even half of them. Like, that's only Kiara's.
This is only mine, but there's also
I have like
six.
Thank you so much for Demetra for coming up here and answering questions. I love this book. I had so much fun reading it. It was very thrilling.
I'm on the edge of my seat the entire time. Like I was like, what is going on? Like, what's happening? I was like, oh my god. It's so good. It was so good.
And make sure to follow Demetra on all social media platforms at
it's Debbie Brodsky on Instagram, Demetra Brodsky on Twitter, and I have a Facebook page, Demetra Brodsky.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next month book pick. Bye everyone!
Bye! Would you do a Last Girls movie?
It would be amazing.
Yeah. And then who would you imagine as Ansel?
Come on now.
Or like when you wrote
What did you say?
oh my god, I thought I saw oh my god, what's his name? Oh my god.
Because we were talking about this the other day. I was like,
The guy from The American.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I don't know the actor's name.
He's not sure. He plays Asher.
Him.
His name is Cody Christian.
She's like, yes.
Yes, look at you. Absolutely.
I went full
And I love his character.